the year of Superman. Welcome to the March Madness episode of the Krypton Report. I'm your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue, and I have the whole posse with me today as we prepare for the Super Showdown of Steel. That's right. Have my pal Brian, gravely amusing Peters, the man-child over here, help me with my alliteration for today because I like alliterations. Also, we got here sitting Solomon, the Shadow of the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Patrick, over here.
Thank you.
We got James Superman Red Cole.
Yo, what's up?
We got Levi, the Round Superman, also known as the man who keeps McFarlane in business. What is up?
I love you already, Levi.
And then we got Brad, aka
Sutargos, the Kaiju from Krypton.
Yeah, I'll let him introduce himself. He has the best. But all right. As we sent out, we created this is our disclaimer. We're gonna whittle down the bracket of super people. Okay. And so my disclaimer here is the characters we did not use, parody versions, example SNL or the Chuck Woolery version.
The Rock.
Yeah. So anything that was on like SNL is like a parody that would include Hugh Jackman, Bill Murray. Did not have if they did not have anything filmed, they weren't considered. So that we didn't use stunt actors. Examples being Titans, the first part of Supergirl, or on nothing really to do there. We didn't use the Air Force recruitment commercials featuring Dennis Miller and Peter Lupus, and then there are different like variants such as like a Bizarro or an Overgirl, like that. So
most
this
of those
is
ones
our
would be played by the same actors.
exactly.
I'm
So this
loving
is our big picture of who's in our showdown, and basically how I did our bracket was I wrote down everyone's name, okay, and then I put a number on them. Then I wrote the numbers down on a piece of paper, shook up the hat, then drew two numbers out for each bracket. So that is how I made the bracket. Like I tried to make it as fair as possible. And that is where we are with the bracket. So
All right.
There we go. All right.
turn the camera. There we go. So round one will have a guided like this, but then after that, so everyone has their own bracket filled out, and then we're going to kind of use it to vote and build our own bracket right here for the podcast. So to get right into it, Solo, here's your bracket. I have mine, Jania, and Salas. So that would be a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dang it, I was trying to make an odd number, but we have an even number. Oh well.
I didn't do my bracket, so I'm just gonna work off whatever got on screen.
All right, so Brad's gonna work off what we got. So here we go. Okay, round one.
Fight.
Johnny Rockwell as the TV pilot Superboy that did not air but is available to watch, versus Gerard Christopher Superboy. Starting with Brad, your vote. Go.
Okay, so I haven't really seen Johnny Rockwell's work or Gerard Christopher's, but just guessing how season 1 of Superboy was, I'm gonna go with Superboy. Sorry, Gerard's Superboy. Sorry, just because he has the same crazy feats like that, and I imagine with the Johnny Rockwell version, they were very limited to what they could do, even though it was like a Silver Age version of Superboy.
Okay, all right. We'll go with Levi. Your vote.
We're going with the Gerard Christopher one as well.
All right. James.
I went with Gerard.
All right. Now we're going to get to this bracket. Brian,
Gerard.
Solomon.
Johnny.
All right. One for Johnny. And then Selah went with Gerard. Jania went with Gerard. And I went with Gerard. So that brings the
Clean
first
sweep.
round to Mr. J. Christopher.
I'm sure Gerald Christopher was.
Yeah, G for Gerard.
Gerard.
I can't.
J for
James.
Jurassic.
All right. Round 2.
Now we're talking. Here's the round.
And this is my favorite round based on a comment that Solomon said, and I will let him tell you when we get there. But we're going to start with Brad.
Okay.
Oh, and this is Tom Welling of Smallville versus David Wilson of ABC TV's It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman the Musical. All right, Brad.
Okay, so since I've seen Smallville for the most part, I haven't finished season 10, but I've never seen the musical. I'm going to give it to Tom, mainly because of more feats, I imagine that, and it being a musical, they're very limited to what they could do with the budget they have. So, Tom.
Okay. All right, Levi.
We'll go Tom as well.
All right, James.
Tom.
Brian.
Oh,
Solomon. Do you remember what you said when we were doing this? Solomon goes, "Hey, I've met both of them." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you have." So it's the only bracket on here where Solomon's met both people in the bracket.
Nice.
I was like, "That's pretty cool."
It was tricky, but I had to go with Tom.
Selah went with David because Selah likes to be different. Jania went with Tom, and I went with Tom. So Selah's got to come original, man. She listened to that 311 song and took it to heart. So all right, so Tom wins that round. Round 3, Nicolas Cage as the Flash. From the Flash Superman Lives documentary versus Kirk Allen, which was the serials of Superman, and Superman versus Atom Man. Brad.
Okay, I am gonna go with Nick Cage. Just going off from what they were gonna show with the documentary, as well as his cameo in The Flash. Because Kirk Allen, to my knowledge, even though I've seen the first serial, he never really had anything to have like a big feat like Nick Cage over here, where he was like, fighting a giant spider, or I imagine some other crazy stuff in what would have been Superman Lives. So I go Nick Cage.
Right. You go with Cage. Cage. Because he's Nick Cage. My favorite Nick Cage is when I think about Andy Samberg doing his Nick Cage impression, where he does Nick Cage with Nick Cage on the Weekend Update. And then when he does Nick Cage auditioning for Back to the Future. That's my other favorite.
And the best
All right.
when Nick Cage actually was there when he was doing his Nick Cage impersonation.
So, all right. Next up, Levi.
We're going with Nick Cage because I have an irrational love for his Superman, even though we've never really seen it. So,
All right. That sounds good. It's my horrible Nick Cage that sounds sometimes like Matthew McConaughey. All right.
I was gonna say that's a little Matthew McConaughey-ish.
They start to
It's
move
a
around.
little Nick Cage, but
My favorite is I told Solomon who's doing this play, I'm like, Solomon comes from the Nick Cage school of dialogue where it's either whispered or shouted extremely loud. All right, James.
I mean, I went with Nick Cage on this one. At least we got to see him kind of battling a giant spider. Kind of pretty hardcore.
Was it like the Thangarian spider they said, or
Thanagarian snare beast?
Yes, Thanagarian snare beast. Yes.
All right, Mr. Brian Peters, what you got?
I'm going to go with Kirk Allen
Wow.
because he is the only Superman to be able to fly in live action, shift to animation, and go back to live action.
That's one of his superpowers.
Superman has to have that power.
He's got
That
some
is true.
Toon Force action going on there. Toon Force.
All right,
Absolutely.
Solomon.
I mean, Nick Cage was also a computer-generated cartoon.
Yes.
Ooh.
You got
but the caveat is Nick said he did film scenes for it, but then they ended up going the direction they did. So it's a little bit of a trick.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Solomon, who you got?
I picked Nick because hold on.
You're good.
I want to explain this one.
Okay.
I picked Nick because he would kick Kurt Allen. I mean, no.
All right. So Sayla went with Nick Cage. And I and Jania went with Kirk Allen, but Nick Cage has won
Yes.
5-3, right? Yeah, 5-3.
Mhm.
Okay, that was pretty good though. All right, round 4. Matt Bomer on the Superman car commercials. Okay, he did Superman Returns based car commercials, and he did do an animated voice. I did include animation on this, but it's one of those iterations of live action, and that versus Superboy from Smallville.
Did Matt Bomber voice him in Superman Unbound?
Yes, he did.
That's
Yes,
why
sir.
I thought that sounded familiar.
So we're gonna start with Brad.
Okay, so I got like TV static going on in my brain because I've never seen either of these versions. I'm just gonna say Superboy because he's probably got more screen time than Matt Bomber did in the car commercials. Probably.
You would think so, but not. But all right, we'll take your vote.
Oh.
1 for Lucas. All right, kicking it up to Levi.
Let's go with Lucas. He's got a decent interpretation on Superboy, and the brief I was given was which one would win in a fight, and I don't think commercial Superman stands a chance.
Okay, Mr. Cole.
I mean, I went with Superboy, Smallville.
This was Mr. Peters.
I don't know if I could ever vote against Superboy, especially that version of Superboy. Well, not
In his Walmart T-shirt.
more.
Yeah, but it's the Smallville version.
I know. I know what it is. I know what it is.
All right, Solomon, where are you at? Okay. Okay, Boomer. Sayla went Matt Bomber. Jania went with Matt Bomber. So Lucas wins, but barely.
But it was a close one.
It was another 5-3.
I mean, Matt Bomer is great. He did great as Superman, live action, animation. He's a great actor. I look forward to his comedy show actually coming up. It's supposed to start like this week. Looks hilarious.
He was great as the voice and not stunt double for Negative Man on Doom Patrol.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
All right. This was a hilarious one. We have Bob Holliday, the stage version of It's a Bird, It's a Plane. And he did do some commercials. For a while, Bob Holliday was the longest running Superman because he did a lot of charity appearances and commercials.
Ooh, that's excellent.
Versus Melissa Benoist. So we have Superman versus Supergirl. All right. We're going to kick it off with Brad.
Before I get to that, one thing I want to show you guys real fast, especially Mr. Levi. On the way back from Illinois, from Illinois, after I left my parents' folks from visiting, got this from Facebook Marketplace in Illinois.
Good job.
$20. I'm
Lucky.
so happy.
Nice find.
Brand new.
It's the
But
Batman Superman.
to go back to the battle, though,
loving each
I'm
other
going to go
in the
with
garden.
Melissa Benoist, mainly because I haven't seen It's a Bird, It's a Plane, but also she's got more feats and whatnot.
Melissa's pretty awesome. So
Oh, yeah.
I think
Super
that,
sweetheart.
I would think this is going to be one of those categories that's going to just. But
I think
all right.
this one's gonna be a clean sweep.
Well, Levi.
Let's go with Melissa.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
James.
For Supergirl, for sure.
Brian.
Is there even a question? Of course, it's Melissa.
Only
She
it's
has
just
to wear the pants.
I mean, no shade to Bob Holiday, but yeah, come on.
Melissa would whoop
Oh, yeah.
his ass.
dude, I like her outfit. I like
That's
Oh.
Supergirl right there. When
That-
she put the pants on, what we doing here?
yeah, yeah.
I know you're cold in Canada, but seriously.
No,
what
I
we
did. I mean, I like the skirt with the tights
doing? Yeah.
and the boots. But all right, Solomon.
Oh yeah, she
Figure
looked
of her.
fantastic as Supergirl.
Okay. All right. I still think David Wilson might be Bob Holiday.
Now, see, that would have been a good one. Like, I'm like, that's why I did not want to like put my input in it. I just wanted to make the brackets fair, but that would have been a cool one. So, remix bracket. But all right,
But here's the other thing. She would whip his butt so many times. Why? Okay. All right. First of all,
CBS
it's a
version.
stage. She is from CBS, like Brian said. I didn't say that
Yeah.
right. CW.
I mean, technically the CBS, then the CW.
Yeah, what? Yeah.
So are you going with her, Solomon? I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
All right.
You're gonna beat his butt.
All right. Also, Sayla went with Supergirl. Jania went with Bob Holiday.
Wow. Oh.
I have not looked over Jania's. She made it and I took it, and I went with Melissa. So Melissa advances. All
I
right.
feel like Jania was out here trying to be contrarian today.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna mess with you. John Newton Superboy season 1 versus World Fair's
Yeah.
Ray Middleton.
Gosh, boys,
He's stuffed.
boys packing some bread.
Probably.
Up there.
Gross.
So all right, I think this one will be a pretty much a sweep, but we'll start. Brad.
Yeah. All I gotta say is, John, start packing up your bags. It's Ray. I'm joking, of course.
I'm like,
No, John Newton.
I'm
While
like,
Ray
Had me,
Middleton
what the
may be
hell?
the very first live-action depiction of ever of Superman, he's just
And
a guy
there's-
in a suit walking around. He's got no feet or anything.
I know, but there's video footage of him during the World's Fair, and I was like, he'll be on here.
Yeah, but I do like your choice though. But yeah,
He
John.
deserves it.
Yeah. All right, Levi.
While Ray is packing, we're gonna go with John.
Okay. All right, James,
Yeah, we're going with John.
Brian,
John.
Solomon.
Ray. Kidding, John.
I was like, don't kid right now.
He was a decent Clark and a decent Superboy in the whole season.
I got John.
Is Sayla gonna?
Sayla went with John, and Jania went with John. There's our first sweep, people. I think.
And I feel like John had the better look as opposed to Gerard's look when it came to Superman.
Oh.
There's little tweaks, but yeah, all right.
It's mainly 'cause of the
Round
facial characteristics.
round 7. Tyler Eklund versus Alex from Superman. Like I
Well,
said, some of these I
yeah.
feel were not fair, but I did this bracket.
That
fair.
is a random bracket. Sometimes
Yeah.
you get the worst pick out the gate.
So here we go. All right, kick it off.
How does it
Okay.
feel to know you're going to be eliminated walking into the first round? You know?
Yeah.
All right. So unless, Alex over there suddenly got some big power boost in season 3 and 4, I still haven't finished either season 3 or even started season 4. Yeah, Tyler all the way. He could just go sun dip and then boom, Alex is gone.
All right. Levi.
I mean, the brief was if these two fought, who's winning? What's the history of the Superman? How close to the comics? We're going Tyler.
All right. Okay. James.
Well, I mean, it's definitely Tyler. Especially in that world, that show being Superman and the only superhero and like the gold standard. If we're talking about an unforeseen story in the future, who knows? But you got to give it to Tyler with everything that we've seen.
All right, Brian.
So because
Trying to
that
keep it
Alex-
vague for Brad.
Thank you.
that was Alex in final form. Is this Tyler in his final form? 'Cause
No.
Season 4, he was pretty damn weak.
I'm just saying it's as a whole. Like,
As a whole,
yeah, like
You might
we're
wanna
not.
go
I'm gonna go Tyler.
plug your ears.
That's my dude.
I'm like, we can't at this 3-second point in time. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's a good argument, but
Because he was really weak. I mean, we're talking fights here.
Where
But
did
he whoops Luther's ass.
Where did
So.
Superman Lois?
okay. So we
Oh,
have
Tyler, though.
we
Tyler.
have another
Only
complete
one answer. It's Tyler. Go sit down.
we have another complete sweep for
Oh,
Tyler.
yay!
All right. Now here we go. Oh shit. I mean shoot. George Reeves, The Adventures of Superman and Superman the Mole Man versus Michael Bishop from Superman and Lois.
Okay, so question for you. So with Michael Bishop, that's basically supposed to be the other son, right?
Yeah, that's John Kent.
So are
Yep,
we
it's
like,
John.
like
It's
an
John.
amalgamation of the two?
No,
Since,
he's
like,
the
it's a different
replacement actor.
Was it?
Yeah, it's the replacement actor.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, no, he's Jonathan, just the replacement
The
actor,
better version of
starting
John.
in season 3.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Again, haven't finished season 3 or 4. All I know is just like through this image here of Michael flying. I'm actually gonna give it to George though, mainly because like I have a very soft spot for George. I imagine he doesn't really have any much fighting prowess compared to Michael, but he did fight a 50s style robot, and hey, let's see Michael do that.
Okay. All right, Levi.
Saving Brad from spoilers, I will go with Michael. If you've seen season 4, it'll make more sense. Plus, his Superboy costume is pretty
Oh
fantastic.
yeah, no, looks great.
All right, Mr. Cole.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be Michael. You know, in season 4 in particular, he does throw down a bit, and who he does fight with, it is pretty pretty powerful. I'm not sure if any 50s robot can compare to, you know, even just what they went up against and how it happened. So yeah, Michael.
All right, Mr. Peters.
Agreed.
All right, Solomon. Solomon, you will have the deciding vote, I think.
I
Right?
might need to change my answer.
Six, I think. Yeah.
I might need to change my answer.
What's your answer?
Michael.
Okay, you went with Michael. Hold on. I only have 7 on here.
I might just change my answer.
Who am I missing?
Oh boy.
So, Brad, you said who?
I said George.
Okay. All right, hold on. 3, 6. All right.
If you hear
Okay,
any
Brad
noise in
said-
the background, that's my girlfriend humming.
Okay, so Brad said George. Levi said Michael. Right? James, you said
Michael.
Brian, you said George. Solomon, who do you say?
Michael.
Michael. Okay. Selah, or your mom, says George. Selah says Michael. And then mine says Michael Bishop. So there we go. Yep, that's everybody. So Bishop wins that round.
Hi, George.
Bye, George. We love you, though. We love you.
We do.
All right. Dean Cain from Laura Vandervoot in Smallville.
Okay.
All right.
Ask you guys this question: did Dean Cain's Superman ever have like a big super feat? Because I can't remember Laura having like that big of a feat outside of like lifting up a car or something like that.
In the first season, Superman flew out and intercepted an asteroid and
Oh, that's right.
crash landed back on Earth with amnesia and
Which is a
whatnot.
reference to the George Reeves show.
which is like it's one of those ongoing that I think every version has done something based off of it, which is Panic in the Sky.
I'm just gonna say Dean because of that alone.
Okay, Levi.
I am going Laura because at one point Jor-El in Smallville thought Laura Kara would be strong enough to take on Darkseid. So
It's true. James.
Yeah, I mean, I went with Laura as well. I mean, for a couple of reasons, and not to shade Dean Kane's
I'm about
Superman
to say,
there.
are you going for a couple of for reasons like Levi informed us before?
I mean, that's got a slight edge in it, but more or less, I'd actually rather see. I want to see Supergirl versus Supergirl in the next round. So
Ooh.
I was giving her the edge there, and I feel like she'd take it.
All right, Solomon.
Dean.
Brian.
Especially I love Dean. Very nostalgic Superman for me. I met Laura in Columbus, and she won me that day, and she'll probably win me a lot of other days. Reasons.
This
great.
This bracket right here, I'm like, this is one of those. This bracket right here, I've met both of them, so it's like, I've met you both. But it is Dean Kane by a slim margin.
Oh, wow.
I can respect that.
Okay,
right.
So at this point is where our individual brackets kind of stop, because now it's based on what we decided rules as who everyone picked as their individual winner before we find out who the podcast. All right, so here we go. Round is Christopher Reeve versus Gerard Christopher.
Yes.
Who's winning? Starting with Brad.
Okay, I'm going to say Christopher. Because Gerard, like I said, I haven't really seen the season 2 and forward yet. But
Okay.
to my knowledge, there's no
I don't think there's really an argument there.
Yeah, there's no beats or anything like that. Whereas, Chris is Superman, he can shift plate tectonics, fly so fast he can reverse the Earth's gravitational pull and make it go backwards. Hurl all the nukes in the world into the sun and not have anything bad happen to him. And he managed to survive Superman 3, a very bad movie, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh. All right, Levi.
And I think I'll usually like that movie.
Levi, what you got?
we're gonna go with Christopher Reeve.
All right, James.
Oh, it's Christopher Reeve.
Yep, Brian.
Chris Reeve.
Solomon.
Sorry.
Reeves.
And then I'm gonna go Christopher Reeve. It's just us. We no longer have Sayla and Jania joining us. So number 11 is Josh Orpin, Superboy on Titans, versus Lucas, Superboy from Smallville. Brad.
Okay, haven't seen season 2 or forward of Titans, but from what I can gather from what you guys say, Titan Superboy has more screen time and I imagine more feats and whatnot. So yeah, Titan Superboy.
All right, Levi.
We'll go with Josh. I think his Superboy's a little closer to the comics.
James.
Oh, it's Joshua Orpin.
Mr. Peters.
Oh, Joshua, man. Fantastic Superboy.
Solomon.
Yeah, he was a great Superboy.
Maybe Josh.
All right, I was about to say. So I was about to say.
Yeah, I put down Boomer.
I know, but saying we don't even have to reference those
Yeah.
anymore. It wouldn't have mattered because I went with Josh too, and I was like, he would have had. It was already majority rules. Yeah, his Superboy is great. All right, so here's going to be a tough one. Here's a tough one. Henry Cavill Superman versus Melissa Benoist, Supergirl.
Here we go.
Okay.
Out the gate, neither answer is wrong.
I mean,
I was waiting for him to say
but I'm
that.
about to
there is a
say,
right answer.
I will say, like, once we got past the first round, I don't really believe like this is where it's going to get fun. So
Okay, so I'm going to say Henry Cavill. To my knowledge, Benoist has feats, but also like Cavill, he was able to tank a nuke head on, fight a doomsday. What happened in BBS? Don't want to say because my girlfriend's here. Don't want to spoil what's ending.
well, it
Came
is
back from that.
as of this recording, guys. It is the EVS today.
It is.
And
So-
what else? And had things gone where they would have gone with Zack Snyder's trilogy, I mean, we've basically had a Superman who took on the whole Justice League and fought Darkseid and won. So yeah, I'm giving Cavill's Superman.
All right, Levi.
We're going Cavill. Melissa's got a great Supergirl, but if we're talking feats and keep going back to the brief you sent me when we decided to do this, line one is who wins in a fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's who wins in a fight and version of the character. Have an all-encompassing battle. Superman's more about than just fighting, like physically. It's got to be embodiment of character. But I also thought it'd be fun to mix in Superboy and Supergirl into this too, instead of just doing Superman. So, I gotta throw it for a loop. James, nobody cares. Next,
Wow.
it's my doc. It's my Doctor. What do you call it? Robotnik quote.
Oh, gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I went with Cavill. It would be a pretty good fight. Melissa did a lot in Supergirl, but I do think that there was kind of like this epic power scale up from kind of what the CW was as to what the Snyderverse was, even in
Okay.
as limited as it was.
All right, Mr. Peters.
I'm going to go with Henry Cavill.
Okay.
I have respect for James.
It's not out of respect for me. It's out of respect for the man.
I put Cavill because I think he's an awesome Superman.
The reason I choose Henry is because he didn't care about how much destruction he caused. And he just
Wow.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. He
Hot takes. Hot takes.
At least when Reeve killed Zod, he did it with a little bit of taste,
And a smile on his face.
Well, I actually I wrestle with this one, but Cavill's already won, so it doesn't matter what I say. All right, round 13. We have Sasha Kaye, however you say her last name, versus John Newton. All right, Brad.
Okay. This is a tough one because while Sasha's, Supergirl has fought, other Kryptonians, she kept on losing to Zod, no matter how many times that Barry tried to change things. Whereas John Newton's Superboy, I'm pretty sure he's fought Super Beings 2 in season 1. Like, if I remember right, there's like an alien bounty hunter. But
Not really.
Or maybe I saw it.
He ref basketball games.
I saw Superman Celebration 2019,
Nice.
where I got the shirt too.
That's a great shirt.
I love it. I'm gonna probably give it to Sasha because she fought other Kryptonians.
All right. I like the logic. Mr. Levi.
I've got a soft spot for Sasha's Supergirl. I think she was fantastic in that movie and probably one of the best parts. And like Brad said, she goes toe-to-toe with Zod. And in some of those timelines, she does in fact kill him. So we'll go there.
All right. Mr. Cole.
I went with Sasha. You know, I mean, for all the reasons said, pretty much.
All right, Mr. Peters,
Who's she facing again?
John Newton.
Oh no, Newton faced that alien, that can take over bodies,
Yeah,
and faced a whole bunch of gangsters and an alien on a rooftop. She looked like a normal person. She
also
was
an old lady in the swamp.
the bird lady.
Oh, wait, this one.
He took her
Mr.
on.
Plitnick.
Yeah, he took on Mixie.
I think I'm gonna go with Sasha.
Solomon.
Um,
You don't have to look at this anymore. It's just because it's Sasha versus Superboy John.
Sasha. Okay, here's the way. She was a beast.
She just swept the board, fellas, because that's who I was going to go with.
She literally, when she went in that facility, she like went, "Oh, I'm gonna break your arm. I'm gonna break your arm and yours."
And she had to battle the fact that she was a brunette.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Look at that super suit.
So great.
Brandon Routh versus Tyler Hecklin.
I don't want to
Ah.
pick.
Okay. So I was thinking about this the past few days, and I'm going to say Brandon Routh may arguably be the best, the most powerful version of live-action Superman. And I say that because in Superman Returns, not only did he lift a mountain or islands worth of kryptonite, he did that while having a shard of kryptonite in his body. So no matter what was happening, even with that slow recharge, he was still slowly draining and getting more poison from the kryptonites. So
Your rationale is solid.
yeah, so I'm giving it to Brandon. Also, McFarlane Toys, before you lose the license, make a figure out of that.
Oh, I need a whole movie.
Yes.
Levi.
To me, this is the hardest one of the second round matchups, but we're going to go Brandon. I like Brad's logic, and Brandon's Superman is incredibly nostalgic for me. So,
And don't forget, he's the Christopher Reeve Superman, too. Just,
No, he's not.
Oh.
No, he's not.
Oh.
Just wait till we do our episode next month. Because I have a whole list of notes of how Brandon Routh is his own thing.
I look forward to watching the episode.
Yeah, just wait. You'll hear me go off on my, and then people can argue or disagree. But
No,
Yeah.
I agree with your tangent.
I know you and I,
Yeah, totally.
Brian, and I have had this
Broke it all down,
conversation
man.
in cars.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, James, Santa Claus Cole, go.
Well, I mean, I went with Brandon. It is a tough. It is a bit of a tough one, but it does mean Brandon is the tougher of the two. I think I just Tyler had some great stuff going on, but I really think that I'm just going with Brandon.
All right, Mr. Brian Peters.
When Brandon fights Tyler
You
in the Crisis episode, Lois has to stop him.
Well, that's tricky because
No,
this is where it
never
gets
mind.
different. Tyler Superman than Superman. I know
Okay.
that's the tricky part.
But just the suit and the lifting the island. I mean, I was going to bring it up. I'm glad he did. I just like that. Just looks so good to me.
Okay, Solomon.
And he needs.
He does need more respect. Solomon.
I went with Tyler.
Okay.
Oh.
Also went with Tyler. But in this conglomerate here, Brandon is the winner. Which that's fine. That's what we do. Okay. Even though it's the trailer, but this would be David Cornsweet versus Michael Bishop. So we have to use the trailer. Michael Bishop, Superboy. John Kent, Superboy. So we're gonna start with Brad.
So Tyler, remember how last time you were giving me crap because I didn't watch the trailer? Yeah, I still haven't watched it, so I gotta abstain. I would
It's
say,
okay.
if anything, probably David, because he's fought other meta characters in the movies and future movies, whereas the other character, who's the other one he's fighting again? David, was it?
Jonathan Kent, Superboy.
Jonathan Kent. I'm still gonna give it David.
We'll take your David. Okay, Levi.
Going future potential, we'll go with David.
Solomon. I'm going out of order real quick. Solomon.
Today, Junior.
Give it to David.
Why? Because I can already tell from that trailer that he's gonna whoop some people's butts. Like, come on. You literally. Oh.
What?
I don't want to spoil. Sorry,
No.
Brad.
Yeah, Brad hasn't.
Sorry.
Brad hasn't watched the trailer.
Sorry.
Solomon
Superman
coming in
fights
hot.
someone? What?
Fine.
You done? You got more?
Well,
This kid. I'm going to go with David because he has so much pressure on him. Like, not only is he a fight whatever he fought in that trailer, but he's fighting for the future of DC.
He's fighting for the soul of everything DC.
Warner Brothers, like,
Got the whole universe on his shoulders.
He's got the whole world on his shoulders. Okay. James Cole.
I mean, I'm going with David. From the trailer, there appears to be a good deal of action and some pretty awesome, different beings or antagonist type stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna go with David.
Okay. All right. Dean Cain versus Helen Slater.
Okay.
Let's try to do it as quick as possible because Solomon's got to go to bed.
It's a Dean. I thought Laura won that one.
I'm gonna give.
Yeah, it was Dean by like 2 votes.
I'm gonna give it Dean because Helen Slater's Supergirl, to my knowledge, didn't really have any big feats. Then again, I've only seen the movie once, so I'm giving it Dean.
That's one time too many, but all right. Levi.
We'll go Helen Slater because I refuse to vote for Dean.
A man of principles. I love it. James Cole.
Well, I'm not voting for Dean. I'm voting for Lois and Clark's Superman. So that's what I'm doing right there.
I appreciate. Hey,
the fictional character in this fight.
All right, Brian.
I'm gonna vote for Helen Slater, greatest Supergirl ever. Viva lady.
I'm gonna choke to death. Okay, Solomon. Wait, yeah, I got those 3. Yeah, Solomon.
Dean.
Yeah. Woo! So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, fellas. What we're going for?
I'm gonna go Dean Cain. Mainly because he's overcome more in Supergirl, but she was a good Supergirl. Okay, moving on. Bonus round. Then we'll move on. Ready? Krypto the Superdog from 2005 versus Krypto from Titans. Thoughts? Go.
Titans.
Brad.
Superman 2025 because I haven't seen either.
Okay. James, who's Levi?
We're going Krypto because Krypto's the goodest boy.
Which one?
Either.
Okay.
I'm not picking a dog. He's the goodest boy.
All right, James Cole.
I mean, I'm going with Titans just because we've only gotten screen time with him so far.
All right, Brian.
Krypto at the end of Superman and Lois. Yeah,
He's not on here.
Krypto.
Don't make me cry.
Krypto 2025.
All right, Solomon.
Krypto.
Which one?
Krypto.
Dang.
Attaboy Solomon.
All right, so
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
I'm laying my flag. It's
Thank you,
crypto.
Jack.
Take me
All right.
home. We gotta take his kid to bed.
All right. We've all agreed it was crypto. I put that in there just for fun. Okay. So this is the tough
Crypto
round, guys.
won the battle of crypto.
Okay. So technically the next bracket, Solomon, you gotta head to bed, buddy.
No.
I've already kept you up too late. Your mom's gonna I'm gonna sleep on the couch tonight. All right. Really quick. Let's try to go through this quickly. Okay, guys. Just because Solomon wants to be a part of this. And
Speed round.
Tom Welling versus Nick Cage. Starting Brad, go.
Tom Welling, because he's got the more feats and more screen time. Is
I
proven.
don't even think we have to. Levi.
Tom.
James.
Tom.
Cam.
Solomon.
Tom.
Okay, Tom it is. Okay, so that was bracket 16. Bracket 18, guys. This is a hard one. Okay.
My head.
Tom Welling versus Christopher Reeve.
Oh,
Son of a.
that on my
All right,
Okay.
Brad.
I'm gonna give it to Chris because what I mentioned previously, he's got the speed, he's got the strength, and he survived a whole bunch of nukes going off in his face. So Chris.
Okay. Levi.
Tom.
Okay. James.
I actually on my bracket I got this far with these two characters, and I went with Tom.
Oh.
Yeah, I want Yati.
Okay, Brad. We'll come. Tom Welling from Smallville or
Christopher Reeves.
okay.
That one looked like it.
I'm
hurt.
gonna have to go with Tom. Like it's tough as heck. Like
But Tom, ultimately by season 10, he had some pretty awesome feats, and he was extremely powerful come that point, and he still had more to go when it kind of came time for him to actually become Superman. I mean, yeah, it's lame, but he still pushed away a whole planet.
Oh, okay then. There we go.
I give it to Tom because his Lois was hotter.
that's good logic. I like that logic.
Yeah, absolutely.
For reasons.
Yes.
Extreme reason.
All right, Joshua Orpin versus Cavill. Just you guys know the order. Sound off.
I'm gonna give Cavill because I don't remember Joshua.
Titans Superboy.
Oh,
James?
yeah, for Cavill.
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 Solomon.
Gavel.
Cavill wins. Okay. All right. Sasha Kaye versus Brandon Routh. Starting with Brad. Sound off. Go.
Brandon Ralph, that's what I previously mentioned.
Okay. Levi.
Let's go, Brandon.
Okay. James.
I debated it a little bit, but I went with Brandon.
Brandon.
Solomon.
Brandon.
All right. Brandon wins.
Oh, big one.
I don't have to vote now. All right. David Cornsweat versus Dean Cain. Brad.
David, because he fought more
Mom.
meta characters.
My
Levi. You're
David.
going with David because you're not voting for Dean.
Right. I am voting for David.
Okay.
Dean.
All right. Solomon. Okay. Wow.
Just ruined what he did on the show.
I mean,
I did it.
That's good.
I want to go
Very
with
good
David
argument.
because of what I see, but Dean there's stuff I love in his.
Maybe we'll see the next trailer very soon, and you'll be more convinced. Let's hope that happens, right?
Come on, David.
Hold on. I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna phone a friend.
What did we just see? What's coming up very soon that they say that we might be having the main trailer for Superman coming out, like
Yeah.
CinemaCon or something?
My CinemaCon or Minecraft. They said the marketing
It's like an
is similar
expo.
to Barbie's. Watch this. I'm gonna get yelled at, but
What's that?
you better answer. Come on. I could be dying in here.
Oh,
I'm on the air, too. I could be dying.
And she could care less.
I know. Wow.
person you're trying to reach is not available.
Wow. Wow.
I was just joking.
Can't really blame her.
Wow.
All right, well.
Hold on. I'm gonna try to call her again. She said, "This is it kills the humor of this."
Yeah, that's what women do. Break your balls.
Hey, hello, Jania. You're on the Krypton Report podcast. As we're trying to wrap up here, we have a question that we need your assistance on. Who would win, David Cornsweat or Dean Cain? Go.
I did it.
And there you have it, folks.
I did it.
David Cornsweat won, thanks to Jania.
You're happy.
All right, we are in the we're in the last stretch. You ready, guys? It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough.
Final Four is brutal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tom versus Cavill. Starting with Brad.
Okay, since you guys just mentioned how Tom Superman moved the planets, I might have to give it to Tom. I might. But then again, they both fought Darkseid. I'm giving it to Tom. I'm just giving it to Tom because of the planet feed.
Okay. Levi.
Oh man. Probably my two favorite versions of the character.
I know. That's why I'm like, oh man.
This one's brutal. You know what? We're gonna go Tom for the longevity. He's fought Doomsday. He's pushed away a planet. His hope has beat out Darkseid. So we'll go Tom.
Okay. James.
I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's very, very tough. I went with Cavill though.
Okay.
I went with Cavill in mine.
Tom.
Solomon. Bless it, people. I think I have to go Tom. I'm sorry. I just, it's tough, but yeah.
Mom is like moving on.
Okay. I think this one will be an easy, clean sweep. David Cornsweat versus Brandon Routh. Go.
Brandon Routh, because what I mentioned with the Kryptonite mountain, island, and the Kryptonite being in his body.
Levi.
Brandon.
Jamesy.
I went with Brandon.
Ryan.
I mean, come on. You know my answer.
It's Brandon.
That's right.
Solomon. Mid stays who's gonna. I went with Brandon.
Come on.
Okay, here we go, guys. Final battle. Tom versus Brandon. Brad.
Okay, now even though Tyler disagrees with this, I'm still thinking that Brandon is Christopher Reeve Superman, and with the stuff I mentioned before, I'm giving it to Brandon.
You know what? I need to look at my schedule when that episode is when we're recording it. I'm gonna try to get you on there so you can interact with me as I prove you.
I would love that. I would love
All right,
that.
I'll check the schedule. Okay, Levi.
Yeah, I'm running the math in my head, but I think we're gonna go Tom.
Okay, James.
Ooh, man, Tom versus Brandon, huh?
Yep, it's 2006 all over again.
I was gonna say somehow we ended up in the early
Right.
2000s.
And if that time were the case, I would have said Tom. Like I would have preferred, but and ultimately, I mean, it wasn't Brandon's fault what was wrong with the movie. So, but Tom,
You're going Tom?
yeah,
Okay, Brian.
Brandon.
I'm going Brandon. Solomon, you have the defining vote.
Defining gravity. Jeez Louise. Okay.
Define gravity, nice reference.
It's my boy.
Alright.
Tom Welling of Smallville or Brandon
My
Routh?
answer is. Wait. Oh man, another part 2? Crap. Part 2. Dang it. Kidding.
Make your decision.
The world
Kidding.
waits.
Tom.
You're saying Tom?
Yeah.
Oh my god. We're at 3-on-3.
Oh, it's a tiebreaker.
I'm
We're
not-
tied.
No phone.
I have to call your mom.
No,
Or we
Yeah,
gotta
I
do
have
rock,
to.
paper, scissors.
And
She's gonna be like,
she's
well,
got to
she'll
be
like,
the tiebreaker. You
she's
got to
the-
tell her she's the tiebreaker now.
Hi,
though.
Jania.
Hello.
Once again, welcome to the Krypton Report. You are the tiebreaker, the deciding factor on the Superman battle. We are down to the final two. We are split. There's three of us versus three of us. It is Tom Welling versus Brandon Routh.
Tom Welling.
Oh
And
man.
there we have it. There
Yeah.
we have it.
Yep.
Tom wins. Tom wins.
now that,
Nice.
Now that anyone picked Tom for their
All right. Yeah.
winner.
So we'll go through real quick. If you had with your bracket on your own, who did you have as your winner? We'll do this reverse order. Solomon, where's your bracket? Okay.
There.
Solomon, you had Tyler. Jania has Tyler. I had Tyler, and Sayla had Matt Bomer because Sayla is an original.
Mhm.
Brian, who did you have coming out as their winner of you?
I think in the end, I probably had Christopher Reeve.
Okay. I could see that. James, who did you have as your winner?
I actually haven't even put a winner on there because my top two ended up being like Cavill and Brandon, and I was like, man. So I haven't even actually decided on who that winner is, but I would say Cavill.
Levi, Cavill, your winner.
I hadn't penciled in a winner because I got to my final four and figured my final four wasn't going to happen anyways. And it somehow did. So,
And had I done my bracket, I would probably say Christopher or Cavill. But since I thought about it with Brandon the last few days, it would have been Brandon.
Yeah, mine was Tyler, and I think all encompassing he's who I would have win, but yeah, that was a good discussion and like some of these, like my only disappointment is like some of these brackets, like I wish that some of them weren't as like divided as they were, you know. I wish that some of them were a little bit
runaway
neater.
as they were.
Yeah.
You mean?
Yeah, like so. There's our winner. Tom Welling is the winner, folks. All right.
You know what? I mean, when as the show goes on, a lot of people have a lot of different feelings about the later seasons and especially season 10, but there is something about the way Tom is the leader of everybody and how he is stepping up to be the example.
See, you want to know why? You want to know why Tom would not win and Brandon would win, in my opinion?
Yeah.
Because Tom gives up and takes the gold kryptonite. Brandon lost everything that was important to him and became the editor of the Daily Planet and still persevered and pushed on as Superman because
And
the
you know
world
what's the
needed
one
him.
thing
He was still the pillar
great.
of hope.
that Tom didn't? At least Brandon Superman wasn't afraid to wear tights.
See, my thing is like that's the one thing because the way they ended Tom's story, because I am not a fan even of whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, because I don't believe Superman would ever give up. That's what like put Tom down, in my opinion, as being like the pillar of Superman. It's because he gave up and decided to stop being Superman.
Yeah, I mean Lex Luthor,
I do think the idea behind his giving it up is not like quitting, like giving up
he took gold kryptonite and gave up all of his powers.
No, I know he gave up his powers. I don't think he gave up like, I think it was I choose to see it more from the happy ending side for him.
Well, if we're gonna
I guess
that argument, I mean Christopher Reeve gave it up just for one
night.
One romp.
Then he got it all back and then gave her the magic kiss that makes no sense.
Well, it's a good thing we're getting that animated Smallville.
That's robot chicken.
Totally still happening. Am I right?
So
right.
I'm just saying, but all right, that's ours. Let us know in the comments and everything who would have won your battle bracket and why, and who didn't stand a chance in your battle bracket. Much like in Levi's, Dean Cain had no chance. So, thanks everybody for joining us. As long as I get to bed, it's a school night. So until next time, remember.
Bye-bye.